Every day I wake up, I have to look the world in the eyes and say, what do you have for me? Today at UMass Yak Back, we're going to reflect on that. First thing they have, prison systems are reevaluating their approach to education. Then we're going to talk about Kanye West, the Kanye some people know, the Kanye others know. We're going to try to build a general understanding of what Kanye West means to us. And then we're going to talk about clowns, and there just ain't enough of them, you know what I mean? This week on UMass Yak Back. As is customary, this week on UMass Yak Back, we will introduce the show with the intro topic. We're going to talk about the New York prison system, how one brave man has decided to encourage education behind bars. We have Miles Powell, check him out. Johnny Beers, can you believe it? And Molly Plain, thank goodness. All right, guys. So I understand that a very brave individual has stepped up and said, hey, if they're going to be behind bars, why don't they learn a thing or two? Do you guys, initial reactions? Miles?
I'm for it.
For it?
Yeah.
For what surface reasons?
What surface reasons? Yeah, without going into too much detail, I think if you don't educate these people when they're spending time behind bars, it's just going to perpetuate violence and poverty within these New York City?
New York City, New York State, one of them.
Well, in these areas, and I assume if they're being offered education, these are like low-level prisoners, not like rapists, murderers. These are probably like drug possession people who could use education to enhance their lives and move forward and away from crime.
People who can see their release on the horizon.
Right.
All right.
I would assume.
All right, Molly, I understand you have a pretty serious opinion on this.
I disagree with Miles. I would say that there's nothing wrong with prisoners getting educated while they're in prison, but I don't think that it should be paid for by taxpayers because people who didn't commit any crimes are paying thousands and thousands of dollars to go to college and like hundreds of thousands of dollars for families. So I don't know why you would commit a crime and then be able to go to college for free.
It's 1/12 of the cost of sending that person to prison, though. And if you spread that out into a huge place like New York
It's
City,
really easy not to get sent to prison.
Well, all right. So we have two opposing sides.
And it's a good
now,
investment.
Symbolically, being in the middle assumes neutrality.
I am on the fence about it,
Yeah,
too.
so Johnny, why are you on the fence? How are you straddling that?
Both on one side of the fence.
Mm-hmm.
It's also good to, educate yourself because you're in there. Educate yourself, but for your point of view, also, you don't have to do it either. You can just not pay. The taxpayers don't have to pay the money.
Mm-hmm.
No college systems, just kind of leave the system the way it is. And just they go to jail. They're in jail for a reason. They have a reason to be there. And then they get out and then they can maybe go to school that way.
Well, because a lot of people in jail might not, there might be someone who made one mistake or was associated with something who found themselves in that situation. Why should you set them back so many years because of this, putting them in a situation where they're likely to not get an education at all?
Can I respond to the financial point that Molly made?
No, but you may.
Thank you.
Actually, yes, and you may.
Well, you're worried about the taxpayers paying money for these people to get an education. I think the stat was like 40% of these people will likely go back to prison if they don't get an education, and that's $60,000 for that person rather than the $5,000 for their education. If we can assume that the education they get in jail will keep them away from crime and out of jail, that's saving the taxpayers money. On top of that, you're saving taxpayer money by hopefully controlling some violence or crime in the area, which saves money through like police force channels and whatever else taxpayers will be paying for public service-wise to halt crime. So financially, it's a great investment, and these people are low-level criminals. Why would we not want these people to be able to advance in society and help themselves financially and hopefully, morally?
Okay. First of all, I don't think it really specified what level of criminals in the article were going to be receiving this. And as for people who maybe were associated with something and it's not necessarily their fault, there's not there's like no way to tell like who it would be getting this. Yeah, exactly.
But does
And
that
then-
matter?
Yes, because like you feel bad for the person who was like with their friend when they robbed the convenience store. Now they have to go to jail for a year, but you don't feel bad for the kid that went into the convenience store with a gun, like to.
But
whatever.
why? I mean, either way.
Okay. Well,
Either way, the goal is these people are getting an education so that, you know, if it's really hard to get a job if you have a felony on your record, and they just might have been in some like deep shit. And if they can help themselves get a job, it is far more likely that they're not going to need to go into that convenience store with a gun and rob someone. So it makes our world a safer place, and financially it's a great investment. So I don't see anything wrong with it.
Sorry,
there
Molly.
is like the point about the great investment. There's nothing that says that taxes are going to go down if we're sending less people back to prison. It's right now. It's just taxes are going to go up.
No,
because,
it's $60,000 to send someone to prison. That's a direct
Right.
payment from the taxpayer.
Right.
If you're paying $5,000 more for the education, that let's say that the total
Taxes will
tax bill
rise.
is then $65,000. But if fewer people are going to jail because of this, then fewer $60,000 payments need to be paid to pay for these people.
But they haven't said anything about that.
What
Well,
about
that's
if
just what would happen.
What about, because I'm sure this might be a situation of, I forget his name, and I'm sorry for that, sir, but whoever's proposing
Like the
this
governor
idea.
of New York or something.
Yeah, I don't know. Why would I know that? I'm from Massachusetts. But he might also be asking high. I feel like there's a lot of compromise available. For instance, what if they just let you get your gen eds out of the way? Because I know a lot of times those are the toughest classes to get through just because people see them as pointless. Whereas once they get out of prison, they can delve into their interests. Do you think, or like what you guys were saying, how we don't know specifically who's going to be offered this? Johnny, I know you're kind of on the fence. How would you arrange the deal to make yourself go one way or the other?
I feel like if it's going to be implemented into the New York prison systems, that they should like set a standard for it. Like the higher levels, like it should be in regards to how long you're going to be in there for, sort of thing. Like say you're going to be in there for 4 years for some like felony, like misdemeanor, some reason 4 years, like you were saying, someone that didn't rob the convenience store but was there. I feel like you could set in some sort of not like code of conduct, but like criteria. Like you're in there 4 years, you can start doing stuff. But if you're in there for 16 years or more for whatever reason, then just read.
What if you never graduated high school? Do you
I
need
think-
a diploma?
I think they already do that.
That's
They already
yeah.
do the GEDs.
Yeah.
Already, the equivalency.
So you'd obviously have to fulfill that in prison, right?
Right.
I'm not
I mean,
sure how it works.
Like there are already educational options, and like if I live in New York and I have to pay like whatever tens of thousands of dollars to go to college, like I'm gonna get myself sent to prison and go for free, and that's like really fucked up. I
Yeah,
think.
but you're not going to have anything like the same college experience. I'm sure these aren't
still
like
gonna get a degree.
top-notch professors. So what? It's like going to community college maybe rather than like Harvard. There's a huge difference, and it changes. I mean, I think the question is you have to ask yourself what the point of our prison system is to begin
It's to
with.
keep
If
protect
it's-
us
yeah, if
from
it-
the prisoners.
Exactly, and that's the whole point I'm trying to make. Is
So as long as they're in
it's
there,
not
why do we
about
care what they're
punishment.
doing?
They are separated from society to the point where they're not going to hurt anyone. But they're also now more likely to not do anything violent or whatever they've done in the future. So that even further protects our society. So I don't see anything
You all
wrong
bring
with
up
this.
very interesting points. I like the argument. I like pro, con, on the fence. Thank you for being on the fence, Johnny Beard. It's your first time. It's tough to be on the fence. But so we're going to let you decide for yourself because the opinion is personal. And personally, I think that's very important in my opinion. All right. So we're going to continue on with the show. We have some more interesting things to talk about. We're going to talk to you about Kanye West. And we're going to talk to you about something even more important, clowns. If you can believe it. Stick with us. This is UMass Yak Back. As of late, it just happened to be the 10th year anniversary of Kanye West, the College Dropout, which many hail as one of the greatest hip-hop albums of all time. We're going to talk about it because we know a lot about that sort of thing. We have Dylan Sullivan, hip-hop expert, Miles Powell, hip-hop philosopher. We have Pat Amidon, hip-hop physician. So guys, So you all like the hip hop genre of music? Yes.
Very
Yeah.
much so, yeah.
So who likes Kanye the most out of all of you? Dylan.
As of recently, his personality makes me not like him, but there's no denying his influence as a producer and a hip hop artist.
His personality, what aspects though?
What aspects? The over cockiness and he thinks he's godlike, and that's just, it's not cool, because if you look back to like the early days of hip hop, it was like they had like a swagger to them, but they were very humble in a sense, and they know that
I
they
don't
knew their
necessarily
roots.
agree with that.
Okay.
I mean, there was so much battle rapping going on back in the day that everything was so egotistical. It was I'm better than you all the time, and I mean you still see that everywhere in hip hop. It's not just Kanye. Kanye is a total egotist, but if you think about, like, I'm sure a lot of revolutionary people were very happy with themselves.
Oh,
People that we learn about in our history classes, that we don't know about their personal lives all that much, and whenever we do dig into them, we realize how they're not like perfect people.
Who is?
So I just don't really care. I don't care at all about his personal life. I just ignore it.
It's interesting though what you said about egotism, because he had this certain contradiction to himself where he always said like I'm the best, when really he was just trying to get himself under Jay-Z's wing, which is what ended up happening.
What do you have to do?
Yeah, you have to find a big brother. He has a song
Yeah.
called Big Brother
Yeah.
where he talks about that.
Absolutely.
Pat, who would you say is higher up on the food pyramid of hip hop, Jay-Z or Kanye at this point?
Oh my God, that's a tough question. I feel like Jay-Z is gonna go down as, I mean, he pretty much already is like one of the all-time greats. I feel like Kanye, people kind of like brush off how great he is musically because of like how his personality is. Like you look back at like how hip hop's been since he came around, he has some people like don't like his new albums, like especially his newest one. But if you look at how much each album has changed over time, like if you look at his catalog, he is the only, like, to my knowledge at least at the moment, rapper like in the last, like, since he came out that is every time tried to raise the bar. And it's not just I'm gonna put out music to make money. Every album he's like I'm gonna do something different.
I
And
feel
some
the
people like it, some
style's
people hate
changed.
it.
Yeah.
Well, he just gives a middle finger to the status quo pretty much. But it's like, it's weird because it's not like he's always trying to do something different. He's taking what's popular in the genre and twisting it.
Yeah.
And that's what he does. It's not like I'm going to create this totally new sound. It's I'm going to do whatever is popular better than whoever is popularly doing that popular thing. If that makes any sense.
That makes me think of like his newest album. Like if you listen to it and you're not somebody who really like listens to albums, like some people are like, oh, I want to hear a song that sounds good. Listen to like 90% of the songs on his new album, you'll immediately just be like, wow, what is this? Like it hurts your ears almost. But when you actually like listen to it, it's like he's like, you know what? I'm gonna make a song good no matter like what. Like if I have to put in like a beat that people hate hearing right away, like the first song in the album is just like almost like sharp like noises and like it doesn't sound good when you listen to it, but then at the same time it's like he can do anything he wants and like it's good. Like he's raising the bar. He's doing what nobody else is like doing. He's making like strides to change music. He's not just like, well, these pop songs have been working for the last like 15 years. I'm gonna do something like that, or like this is how rap's been for the last like since like the 80s.
It's
like,
very context based, essentially. I agree with you. I think albums, if you're going to listen to an album, listen to it in the order it was made in all the way through, because
You can't really judge a person's
Yeah.
music till you listen to it through. Like you can't be like, oh, I like that one song, so they must be good.
especially if you listen to with like corporate radio stations, when your impression of Kanye is this, when really you look like that's a sellout song on the album. You have to go into it thinking that whatever's on the radio is probably the worst song on the album, and that's been so true for every artist.
As far as evolution too, I think it's interesting how many different types of artists that Kanye's worked with. Because like you could list them off. Like I remember some of his early stuff. He was working with like Cameron and like Common and then like The Game and stuff like that.
Grav.
And then now you look at him and he's working with like 2 Chainz and like Big Sean and like just like a slew of new artists. And I think that's interesting to see that he's relevant all the way through.
Well, I think, I mean, this is, it doesn't bother me because I totally get it from a business perspective, but he just does whatever is best for himself.
No, absolutely.
And like he has these people under his wing, under good music, so he's obviously going to be producing music for them. But he has the talent. I mean, John and I always talk about "Let the Beat Build" with Lil Wayne, like
I
a
love
song
that
that
song.
like no one would ever recognize as a Kanye beat unless
Yeah.
they cared to look. Like it would be awesome if he was still doing stuff like that, you
Absolutely.
know, all around the map.
That's
hip-hop
actually
wise.
exactly like I've had this. I remember like I heard that song. I wasn't huge into Lil Wayne. I heard that song. I was like, this is an awesome song. And I remember like looking into it, being just like how do you come up with like a beat like this? And it was like produced by Kanye West. I'm like,
Yeah.
there it is.
Duh.
Like, that's what got me into like
Yeah.
Kanye West. Is
And there's
like
so many songs like that from like the mid 2000s that you would just have no
Yep.
idea.
Absolutely.
But I mean, if you listen to him more, you start to get a sense of how he builds these beats. But
yeah, one of like the most interesting things I've ever seen is I watched a video on YouTube once. Like it was every beat that Kanye West has made, but like the original tracks. And like when you listen to the original songs, that you don't even like hear anything of it, and then you see like how he turned it into like a song, and it's you can't do anything but respect it. Like you can hate him as much
you
as
mean
you want,
the
but
samples?
yeah, like
Yeah.
the
Like The Wire, like
yeah, exactly. Like the original songs, like you hear it, it's just like, you know, it's like a good like old song. It'll be like stuff that like, you think like your like grandparents would listen to or something, and then he turns it into a classic in like the 2000s.
And I think like that's been going on since hip hop started. It's so based on like the evolution of like Motown, blues, soul music. But I think he kind of revolutionized like the vocal sample in the way that, I mean, if you listen to his own songs and songs he produced, he takes like one little vocal sample and just makes it part of the beat. A lot of people will use it and like just cut it into the hook or just have it once in a while. But he almost makes an instrument out of a
The
vocal
person's voice,
sample.
yeah.
That's the thing, because a lot of people say how they think, a lot of people like parents, like our parents, I love them.
Parents.
But they'll say like, oh, Kanye, he's a jackass, all that stuff, because they see these interviews with him and he says like, I'm a genius, I'm the new king of pop,
I'm
all this
God,
stuff
yeah,
that
stuff like that.
people who don't know his music don't realize that oftentimes it's true. He doesn't lie to us usually. Mostly in his interviews, like you can't tell him he's not a genius. He's the greatest producer current day right now, is totally doing anything with any genre he wants. So would you say he's out of hand at all? Like, or do you think he speaks the truth?
I kind of would like to see him tone it down a bit, because it gets a little old after a while hearing his name all the time and not being connected to music. But I mean, like you said, he is one of the greatest producers of our generation.
Yeah.
But he's not the only one saying his name.
Yeah.
It's so media.
Yeah, right. It's not his fault, because the media loves to play it up, especially now with the Kardashian bullshit, whatever. Like they're obsessed with it.
Mm-hmm.
I think like he has some right to say he's like a genius musically. I think he's a music geniusly. Like
No doubt. Absolutely.
a genius musically is what I mean to say.
He's musically a genius.
Yes, but like I was watching this interview with him. It was like BBC, and he goes on and on about like how upset he is that he's not that you know, fashion designers aren't respecting his like fashion design ideas. That if you listen to him talk, he's so out of touch. Like,
Well, the thing is,
beyond
he
music,
doesn't want to be
thinks he's, like-
pigeonholed. Just like any artist, he doesn't want to do that. And that's like us. We can talk about music. We can talk about clown shortages, and we can talk about prison systems. We can talk about anything we want. We've been doing the show for so long, covered so many topics. So that is the greatest reason to stick around, because what we have coming up next is urgent news that we've got it. Stick with us on UMass Yak Back. I took my children out the other day. We walked down the street. We were going to the market. Usually I like to point out interesting characters. There's one that I haven't been able to point out for years now. The clownsman, the clowns people, the clowns folk. Apparently there's a shortage. We're just getting word of it. Brendan Hofstas was compelled to come on the show today. Brendan, thank you very much. We have Johnny Beers, who felt like he really, really had to be here for this. Then we had Oren Barco, who we said, Oren, you have anything to say? And he said, sure, why the heck not? So guys, apparently there's a generational gap. The boom is dying out of clowns. Brendan, how does this make you feel emotionally?
I mean, it's pretty sad when like, because growing up, clowning was like the rage. Like elementary school, you just clown on the playground.
What school did you go to, man?
Yeah, I
Just
want to
clowning out
And then
by
it
the on the
just
beach.
somewhere along the line, it stopped being cool, and I don't know. It makes me sad.
Is it a matter of growing up? Is clowning a maturity thing? You either stick with it or you phase out. Johnny, what do you think?
Well, I went to a normal school, and
Not
clowns
the
weren't
clown
really all the
academy.
rage. Clowns in general, tend to be a little creepy, a little weird, and overall,
But creepy and weird at heart?
I mean, I don't think anyone's like, hey, I'm going to be creepy today.
Depends on
You
a
just
clown to
have to
clown
put on
basis.
the makeup
Yeah,
and
speak for yourself, man.
true
Yeah.
story.
I wake up in the morning feeling like P. Diddy, look myself in the mirror and be like, I'm going to be creepy today. Put on my clown makeup, cake it on.
Do you put it on or do you have people?
No, I have my own makeup team do it.
He's classic.
That'd be very interesting.
Yeah, they live in a shed out back.
As a clown, either your simple birthday party local clown lived in the same town, same neighborhood your whole life, worked towards this. Eventually, people trust you, have you at birthday parties, or you're at Soleil flipping around on ribbons. Where's the middle population of clowns? Are they just like you and I? Would you recognize them not in disguise?
I mean, like, the sad part of it is, like, how you mentioned, like, some clowns are, like, the mass majority of them are, like, the birthday clowns making only $300 a weekend.
Yeah, 300. Very
I mean,
specific.
That's, like, the bottom of the barrel, and I feel like that's where, like, 95% of the clowns are.
Mhm.
You get that, like, 1%, your Ronald McDonald's,
Mm-hmm.
and then the rest are just
You got your
run-of-the-mill
outliers.
clowns, and it's just...
The superstars. Bozo, for instance, is he
Mhm.
still around, or was he one guy, or was he just an essence that kept getting carried through the?
It's a symbol.
Like,
It was a symbol of the clown movement, I think.
what clowns are known? I know
Well,
Bozo.
I- Definitely John Wayne Gacy
Yeah,
is
he's
probably
like-
the
he put a
most
little-
well-known clown.
A little stigma on clown.
Was that? Wait, I don't know who John
He
Wayne
just
Gacy
murdered a
is.
whole bunch of
Yeah,
people.
he was a very famous serial killer.
Just
That's who that
clown.
is.
Wore
He's.
clown makeup, killed a bunch of children.
Was that what
Yeah.
it was
Kept him in his
based off
basement.
of?
No, that's another stigma on the
Because
clowns.
that-
The movie, It.
You know, he wasn't really a clown. He
Joker?
was a spider. Oh, Joker too.
Fair enough.
Which one? Which one?
Any of them.
Keith
Jack
or
Nicholson.
Keith?
Keith.
Keith.
Keith is his brother.
Keith Edmonds.
Keith Ledger.
Rest in peace, Keith Edmonds.
Have you ever
And-
seen the movie Killer Clowns in Outer Space?
I know of it.
Cla-
They come to
It's the
Earth though.
best.
Is that
Yeah,
what it
they
sounds
come to
like?
Earth. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like a famous B horror movie, like
Mm.
really crappy quality.
No, it sounds totally high quality.
I have seen
No,
it.
like quality is in like it's a great film, just like not produced well. Come down from space, kill a bunch of people, and they're clowns. And I think that led to the fall of the clown era in like the late '80s.
So,
I think.
also a huge part of this issue is kids nowadays don't think being a clown is cool. I guess maybe in previous generations they didn't really know what to do, so they were just like, "Hey, I'll be a clown. I'll be a clown. No one will judge me." Nowadays, you're probably going to be judged, maybe picked on, teased, etc. A, B, C, or D. But would you stand up for yourself if you loved being a clown? If you believed in it, would you have the courage? Any of you can answer this. Would you have the courage to say, "I'm a clown and I'm proud"?
Well, I feel like if you're a clown and you're loving it, then just go for it and just do it because there's a shortage. So you
Mhm.
need apparently there's a need, a high demand
Mhm.
for clowns. So just go for it. But I feel like also a lot of children are now like inherently not afraid of clowns, but just not like them. Like there was a survey that I randomly came across that out of 250 children polled, all 250 were afraid of clowns. So that's a
How could
high
they not be?
percentage.
Well, when they don't have these major iconic clowns to look up to, like the earlier generation did, you're just aspiring for nothing. We need a strong clown. We need a strong clown.
That can be you, John.
I wouldn't want to do that.
It's not too late.
I don't wear makeup ever.
You can redefine the word clown.
I have worn some big shoes. If you order
Well-
shoes online, they're likely to be a little big.
Hey, me too.
I think the problem is it's
Might
just
be.
like
Those
people
are
are too like. There's a bunch of clowns out there. They're afraid, like you said. They're embarrassed. They're afraid of the social stigma of clowning, and they're not signing up for the clown club.
Would you say they've been replaced by any other of today's cultural roles. Like, would you say we could say
Comedian.
the
The
comedians?
stand-up comedian seems to be people want to make people laugh. They want
But
to become a stand-up
I feel like a clown is more observing like silliness. Would you say that's like what the Jersey Shore was? Was that what our interpretation was?
Guido
Or
could be the new clown.
the
Same
Guido?
amount of stuff on your face.
Yeah.
Snooky could be a clown.
Dude, with all that self, Tanner, it's like the same thing in my book.
It is.
Closest I see is like Lady Gaga, Nicki Minaj.
Oh,
like
that's true.
those like pop stars who
Good call.
dress up weird,
yeah.
put weird makeup on, duct tape a fish to their head and call it art and sing
That's
a pop
true.
song. You know,
Like
that's-
clowns put those big
yeah, big
puffy
red
noses. Didn't Nicki Minaj literally put something in her buttocks cheeks for the same effect?
I think it was just a sack of those red noses.
It was just the biggest ones they had in
Yeah.
song. What the hell are we talking about right now? So honestly though, what about a clown nowadays? Do you think people even get clowns anymore for parties? Are you going out of business? Are you looking into other? What's the next step for you if you can't find any work as a clown?
I don't know. Like, think of it, because they do have clown colleges, but like you go to UMass, maybe get a degree. You might not find a job in your degree.
Mm-hmm.
But if you go to a clown college, you're not trained for anything else but being a clown.
No fallback.
There's no fallback with that.
What do you learn in clown college?
Once you
Is
balance a ladder on your chin, that's all you're good for.
that's just more street performers.
You learn everything.
Is that what a street performer is? A clown that couldn't find
a
work?
dignified
Yeah,
clown
homeless
with no
clown.
makeup.
feel-
Homeless clown.
Almost
So
close.
street performers are really.
I hope we're
It's
not
so bad.
anti or undignifying any clowns, because don't get me wrong, if that's your passion, if that's what you want to do with your life, if you honestly get the most out of every day being a clown, that's totally fine. That's cool. I mean, much love, because here at UMass Yak Back, we're all about love, cohesion. We're all about spirituality, all about that bull stuff. So, I mean, I'm not going to do one of my usual drawn-on, rambling outros, because I feel like it's time to move on to the next level. I'm just going to spit it to you straight, because here at UMass Yak Back, all we can do, offer our opinions on a silver platter, gobble them up, push it aside, look for dessert. You're not going to find it. All right. I'm also done with that stupid, it's going to be a toasty summer cliche ending, because the winter one is it's going to be a cold winter, and we already understand that. So I probably won't even give you one for this week. I'm going to think one, sleep on it 7 times, come back to you in 1 week for next week on UMass Yak Back.